This video will discuss chapter 7.3, using the percent proportion. So I want to show you quickly what the percent proportion is. Then we're going to talk about how it is that we're going to use this, but it's basically the part of a number over the whole of a number equals the percent over 100. So keep in mind that this is a proportion, which means it's two ratios or two fractions separated by an equal sign, and what we're going to end up doing is cross multiplying. Okay, and so the key thing with these types of problems, because they are going to be word problems or story problems, is trying to figure out what number goes where. The reason why the green is in a different color than the part, the whole, and the percent is the 100 will always be there. So this number immediately goes there, and I'm going to kind of show you how it is that I like to set them up. And then it's determining part, whole, and percent. And there are some hints that you can use along the way. So let's start with the first problem. 12 is what percent of 32? So there are a couple of things that I would do to set it up. And so the way that I start this is I make my two fractions, and I know that the 100 is always going to be there. Okay, so the first thing I'm looking for is there a percentage sign? Because if there's a percentage sign, that number would go here. In this particular problem, there is not a percentage sign, which means that that's the unknown. So I don't know what number goes there. Then I'm looking for this word, of. And this word is going to tell me what number should be in the denominator. The number that comes immediately after the of is the denominator. So that means that it's of 32. 32 is the whole, and then the number that is left is the 12. So I've now got everything where it needs to be. At this point now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, and so I get 1200 equals 32x. And then if I take my calculator and I divide both sides by 32, so this divided by 32 and this divided by 32, I should get x equals 37.5. Now, in this particular problem, remember I'm looking for what percent. So my answer actually would need to be in the form of a percent. So my answer should be 37.5%. 12 is what percent of 32? It is 37.5%. All right, so that's one way, or one type of problem that you're going to see. Keep in mind that we are using this proportion. So it may not be a bad idea to write this somewhere, because you're going to be using it a lot. All right, what number is 15.5% of 450? So, same thing, I'm going to take my two fractions, I'm going to set them up because I know that's where the 100 goes. I'm looking for a percent sign. If there's a number with a percent sign, that's going to go above my 100. That would be this number. So that's going to be 15.5. Notice I do not write the percent. Okay, and now I'm looking for the word of 450, which means 450 comes immediately after the word of. So of tells me what the whole is going to be. The number coming right after of will be the whole. That trick will work 98.5% of the time. So it's almost every time. And then the only thing left is x. What number? So now, same thing. I'm going to cross multiply. I end up with 100x equals 450 times 15.5. This is one where you're probably going to want a calculator. This is 6,975. I'm then going to divide both sides by 100. Right? And if you think about the trick that we just learned about jumping the decimal, right? When I divide by 100, I'm essentially moving the decimal back two places. So x is going to be 69.75. Now notice this is not a percent, this is a number, so I can just leave it as 69.75. Alright, next. 78 is 60% of what number? So, again, let's set up the two equations. There's my 100, remember that's always going to be there. Looking for the percentage sign, I see it there. That's the number that goes above the 100. Looking for the word of. Whatever comes immediately after the word of goes as the denominator of that first fraction, what number? So that's going to be my x, that's my unknown, which means what's left is 78. Okay, now the method I'm using is obviously not the only way to solve it, but I have found it to be fairly successful and kind of makes it so you don't have to necessarily make a lot of mistakes getting the problem set up. Again, I'm going to cross multiply. This becomes 7,800 equals 60x. And then 7,800 divide both sides by 60. 7,800 divide by 60 equals 130. Now, since this is not a percent, I can just leave it as 130. So 78 is 60% of 130. So those are the three different types of problems, right? You can either have this as your unknown, this as your unknown, or this as your unknown. Now, I'm going to give you one more. You've done this type, but this is going to be a little bit of a different answer than what we've seen in the past. Okay, if you want to pause the video at this time and practice and try to solve this problem on your own, you can do that. If not, you can kind of follow along with me. Remember, I'm going to set this up how we've been setting the other ones up. Looking for a percentage sign. There is no percent sign. Also, it's saying what percent, so I know this is my unknown. Now, this is where the trick is. The word of tells me what number goes on the bottom, so the 5 is actually going to be my denominator, and the 12 is going to be the numerator. And so this is a bit of a trick problem, because a lot of times what people do is they put the larger number on bottom and the smaller number on top, and that works most of the time, because usually a percent is less than 100, but in this case the percent's going to actually be greater than 100. And then we'll cross multiply, so this becomes 1200 equals 5x, and I then need to divide 1200 by 5, and you get x, or I guess, sorry, I should show you what I'm doing. I get x equals 240. Now remember, I'm looking for a percent, so my answer needs to be in the form of percent, so my answer is 240%. A lot of people get nervous because that seems odd. Why would a number be larger than 100%? But in this case, I'm talking about the number 12 and 5. And 12 not only is greater than 5, it's more than double 5, which is why it's greater than 200%. All right, that's all we got for you on 7.3 using the percent proportion. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to do the problems on the bottom of the page. I'll see you in class.